this content. So back to our educational aspect of what's happening in resale and retail. I spoke about performance basketball. I talked about the Sabrina, gave you those charts in part 2. In part 1, we got all of that information. We're now moving into the final aspect of this discussion on performance basketball from Nike and Jordan brand. So I wanted to use the data in this section to show the most expensive sneakers sold in performance basketball. The most expensive sneakers sold in performance basketball. And remember, this is for one seller, and it's data from one seller. It does not pertain to the entire group of people that sell shoes. It very closely aligns to retail. But on these models, the seller was able to get more than retail for the shoes. So the most expensive sneakers sold. Remember, this is just a micro set of data. And once again, I do think it closely aligns to retail. So the data basically offers you a window into a third party that has survived by functioning like a true Nike traditional account. So we know that Nike has tiers of different sellers. This store operates basically like a Foot Locker or a JD Sports would. It's not a resale shop in that idea of some person running out buying up all the hot shoes and then selling them for a profit. This is a person that said they created the entire setup to take care of people who are in places who potentially can't get the shoe. Enough of that description. Let's get to the graphic that we're going to look at. And it's an important note that you should know for this graphic. Almost every sneaker sold in what I label as quarter 1 of what I call the seasonality schedule. If you look up seasonality schedule, you won't find it. It's something that I created when writing about basketball sneaker sales and how basketball sneakers no longer lead the way in sneaker culture. So if you're looking up seasonality schedule, you're not going to find anything. It's something that I created for companies who want to have a consult about the seasonality schedule in basketball sales. Now, looking over here to our side, I'm really interested in what you're most surprised by here. Let's look at it. So for this seller, the most expensive pair sold was over here on the side of the chart, the LeBron 21, and it sold at $234. The retail price was $225. So I assume that the seller made a profit, but the fact that it did sell for what's basically retail plus tax, that was a good signal for the LeBron 21. Now the LeBron 21 slowed down a lot and ended up going into clearance stores. But that $225 is a strong price. The second shoe that the seller sold that was in the positive was the Jordan 39 Lumiere. The retail price was $200. The seller sold it for $223. Once again, the seller sold it at the same price that a retail store would have sold it, $200 plus tax. So $223. The next shoe was the Kobe Protro. So this is interesting. I threw off on my own data here. The LeBron was $234. That sold for the most. The Kobe Protro sold for $225. This gets into something that I talked about with Kobe. Before Kobe died, there were different problems with Nike and Kobe Bryant. Kobe's weren't selling before Kobe died. They had rolled out the NXT, the 360 Flyknit version, and they had a few takedown models called the Fury and the Mamba Mentality. They had a lot of these shoes, and the Kobe shoes were not selling. Interestingly enough, on certain Protros, retro models of Kobe sneakers that have been released, they haven't performed that well in third party. This all stems back to the fact that basketball shoes, like I said with the seasonality schedule, basketball shoes are not the drivers of the culture anymore. They're not the drivers of the culture. So we have $234 on that LeBron. That's number one. I put number 2 for this. I probably did it because I just messed up when I did the data. So that's just a bad data point. It should be at 3. Actually, it should be at 4 because the Zoom GT Cut sold at $224 and it retail price for $990. The Kobe 8 Pro Tro sold at $225 and it retails price is $190. And then the Jordan 39 Soul, so you got the 39 Lemire and you have the 39 Soul. Of all of the different shoes that we looked at during the basketball section, all of those different models, the Lukas, the Zions, the Tatums, all of these different models, the best-selling sneakers for this seller were at the high end of the marketplace. Now, in the data, I would have to pull the CSV file that the seller let me have, and I'd be able to look and see how many sold. But that's coming. I'm getting ahead of myself because I do have that data in here. So just stick with me. I'm going to stick with this section being just a small section, and that is the most expensive pair sold in performance basketball. And like I said, the Jordan 39 sold for $221. So it was the number 5 shoe. That information is correct on this chart. Why I got thrown off, probably just got thrown off and copied something the wrong way. But the retail price of the Jordan 39 sold was $200. The price it sold for was $221. Once again, that's retail plus tax. So there's nothing special there. But if I'm asking you a question, it's what are you most surprised by with this chart? My question also is it the fact that premium pricing hovers just above SRP? Premium pricing hovers just above SRP. Or is it the 2 Jordan flagship models landing in the top 5? Or is it the GT Cut? Remember, I always am a big fan of the GT Cut. I've been a fan of the shoe since the first one dropped. The first one delivers in resale in ridiculous ways. So if there's ever a point where you can collect on those, if you're a person that's trying to flip shoes, get the first GT Cut. That shoe remains a gem. And it's also a great basketball shoe. All of these shoes, the GT Cut, the Jordan 39, the LeBron doesn't. The GT Cut and the Jordan 39, 3 of the top 5, both feature Zoom X cushioning. All right, both feature Zoom X cushioning. The LeBron and the Kobe's feature Zoom Air. That's it for this. I'm going to wrap it up, and I'll make this its own video. So the most expensive pair sold in performance basketball was the LeBron 21. And I think this was like the auntie's couch or something like that. I can't remember. Curtains. Who knows? But that's it for this one. Hopefully you appreciate it. Please leave comments. Tell me what you want in this. If I can answer the question, I will. All right? Next up. Next topic. Number 4.